Hey Saberists, a Makashi tutorial for you this time. So focus on Form 2. We're going to get a little bit more into some stance work differences versus Shicho and some of the other styles. So you're going to have a narrower stance. Heels essentially lined up so you have a very narrow body profile. This is the kind of thing you see in both Eastern and Western martial arts. We're going to have a very point-oriented offense, using kind of narrower parries with the one hand. The lunge is a very important part of our offense. Falling into that, maintaining that central line. We're going to have our backhand kind of somewhere in front of us, or if we need it for balance, we can put it behind us. Though generally, keeping it in front of us is going to give us more options. So our parries just guiding just outside the body. We can follow up with our strikes with the point from any of our guards. Passing under, or to avoid contact till we attack. Downward parries. And again, everything can be applied with the point-oriented sort of mentality about this. More of a thrust, stabbing motions. And we also have our short little slashing motions. And then you can get into more of your saber interpretations, more like an infantry saber kind of movement. In terms of our footwork, we're kind of having these back and forth shuffle step motions, maintaining that narrow profile. We have our lunge, and we also have stepping off on our angles on our 45-degree angles. So don't get caught up with the idea that you're only stuck on one straight line. This is not a sport fencing mentality. We do want to have to work our stage fight in a 360-degree space. One thing to keep in mind is that grappling is not necessarily not going to happen in this kind of style. We might grab our opponent's sword hand, but it's not going to be getting tied up in these sort of complex movements. What you're seeing here is out of Spanish rapier. So we're using some movements to get off the line. If our blade is knocked out of position, for example, the earlier movements you saw were grabbing the opponent's blade in order to clear for a cut. Generally, we're going to try as much as possible to keep the point in front of us. There may be some hidden guard moments, but generally we're going to constantly want to keep the blade between us and our fight partner. We want to always think of the blade in terms of defense being the bottom 6 inches, giving us our greatest level of leverage, our middle 6 inches giving us really our manipulations, and our last 6 inches, the end of the blade, being where we want to apply offense. So we're going to try and angle our point in, angle our pommel out a little bit. This is going to reduce the double clack you see in stage combat with the saber. We always want to have that 6 inches over our center line, or in some way guarding our center line, no matter what the position is, certainly with the roof guard. Trying to keep things profiled narrow to the body while still keeping threats outside of the body. It's sort of a basic, simple kind of movement. That inside hip parry, or really a beat, as it's often referred to in modern fencing. And we also want to be aware of just striking and being able to not really be strength oriented, just hit and move around our partner's blade. And if we're going to move in a 45-degree angle or work around anything, we want to constantly be aware of center line and not leaving ours open if possible. Staying behind the weapon. And even if we're cross-stepping in the back foot, which can be done, we want to be aware of maintaining a movement where the blade is between us and our fight partner. And always, always, always being aware of that center line. More than any other style in Makashi, center line is very key. So we want to be aware of a center line. We want to be aware of the options bringing our opponent to the inside of our body is versus when they go to the outside. And deflections, more circular movements are possible in this, but we have to be aware of whether we're going for something flashier to occupy a little more time. You know, the thrust is the quickest attack we can throw. A quick slash is the slower attack. But with stage fighting, we can be aware of these things and use them to our advantage. Hope you gave you a good idea of Makashi. Enjoy.